made it to October, and you're hanging out with the host, Chris Gazdick, and Mr. John Pope is hanging out with us from Bradenton, Florida. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing outstanding. We are in the midst of still having hot weather, but
We have wonderful, crisp, cool, clean fall air. I'm so sorry to rub it in, man, but you know. And we also have Miss Victoria Pendergrass, who is intermittently at home with her son in this stage of life. So bear with us with
Yes,
her. How are you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well. We are potty training. So if you hear
Ooh.
my son going, Mommy, I went potty.
You will be running to the potty. I get it. All right, listen, this is Through a Therapist's Eyes, where you get insights and
Take your
delivery
time.
of information about mental health and substance abuse, personal time in your car or home, knowing this is not the delivery of therapy services in any way. You have reached us on episode 330, and we are going to be talking about willpower, which I believe is a rather mm, grossly misunderstood concept in the mental health and substance abuse
I
field.
got to do it. I got to do it, lady willpower. It's now or never. Give your love to me, and I'll shower your heart with tenderness endlessly.
Wow, brother.
That's
We'll
from
give a little hands
Gary
on that.
Puckett and the Union Gap. That's wow. Gar-
That's hysterical. Where you completely hijacked the intro. Now I have no idea where I am.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to do it.
You're kidding. That was awesome, John.
Well,
That was absolutely awesome. Listen, if you're finding us for the first time on this platform, we are on YouTube. We're building up the YouTube deal, so we deliver hopefully a little bit of entertainment, some musical performance from our in-house musician, Mr. John the Pope. Anyway, but your job is to subscribe, to like the things, to get the algorithms going, click the thumbs up. Really helps if you share a particular episode with a friend and give them a comment. That makes it way more likely that they're going to actually
mhm.
listen to the episode, and it's something that you think would apply to them. So help us help you and help others. How about that for an expression?
I
So
think
if you're,
that's really good. I think,
yeah,
of course, we do the 5-star review if you feel so inclined. We would appreciate that. If you enjoy what we do and the banter, just let us and the knowledge that we might be able to share. We're in a learning process, and we just would welcome those 5-star reviews.
I got to keep that expression in my brain, John. Help us help you help others. I love that. That fits with, hey, this is the human emotional experience which we do endeavor to figure out together. That is our main purpose on this show and our platform. And we hope you kind of enjoy the content. Contact at throughatherapisteyes.com is how you can interact with us on the email. And of course, we love to get your YouTube discussion points, and we include them and embed them in the show when we're able to. And, we just have a lot of fun. So, three questions with willpower, episode 331. When have I relied on willpower to push through something difficult? And how did it work out? Just think about that while we're talking today.
Mm,
Secondly, do I believe willpower is a reliable tool for long term change? Interesting, right? I'm going to read
mhm,
that again so much, John. It's interesting. Do
yeah.
I believe willpower is a reliable tool for long term change? Or is it more of a short term strategy? And then thirdly, how do I
Hmm.
respond when my willpower runs out? What supports or systems kick in or fail to kick in? So, some provocative questions we want you to think about while we talk about this. So, John, willpower, man. Um, actually, did Victoria dropped fully? I guess we'll get Victoria back. We'll see how that works out. She's really working out her technical at home stuff, isn't she, man?
Yeah. But I think
That's
she's at that most wonderful time of life, and it will go and it'll be gone so quickly,
I
unfortunately.
know.
Yeah.
It's so
But,
true, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you just hug your little babies and mommy, I gotta go potty. And
Yeah, maybe she's actively singing the potty song. When we was potty training my kids, we said you know, pee pee in the potty, pee pee in the potty, and we'd like walk around the house. We'd have celebration. so, so awesome, right?
that's
Those days
exactly
really do go fast, John. They go super
yeah,
fast.
they do too quickly.
So I guess she'll come back on the platform here as she's able. The definition and the science of willpower, like Dude, what do you think? You just broad stroke it with this whole concept that I already said in the intro, I feel is grossly misunderstood. What say you?
Well, I would agree with you. I think it is misunderstood. And I think one of the reasons why people, let's say they have their little slips or stumbles with willpower, is because they think of it as something that is just mental control. And so and it doesn't engage all the person's gifts or the other, or being able to recruit other people to help you with maintaining that self-control or willpower. And so in other words, somebody gets really, oh, I've got to do it myself. That's the only way to do it. And so we can talk about that a little bit later when we talk about addiction. And that,
We may talk about that. It's interesting that you say that, right? Because, you know, I don't know. This is a mental health and substance abuse show. Is it fair to say that when you're kind of in the field, when we come up with the idea about willpower and what that is and stuff, like, do you think people think of that mostly in the realm of addiction, or is that just us addiction therapist people?
I know,
Uh,
dieting.
well, okay,
And
yeah, that's true.
yeah, and of course, diet has the word die in it. So that's
Awesome.
so so
Are you trying to
you'll
say something about dieting there, John?
well, yeah, I'm saying that you're going to set yourself up for failure. Um,
That's
if you
something I really want to get to tonight. Yeah.
okay. So if we rely on the traditional definition, you got to understand, Chris, I'm a baby boomer, and we were taught from the 50s and the 60s that you had to go it alone. You had to develop that strength of character, and it was a sign of weakness
Mm.
if you didn't succeed. And so you would end up doing the guilt and the shame because you're invariably going to fail if you try to do it by yourself.
Well, that's certainly a monster big point, and that's going to be in our conversation too, because isolation. I don't know, man. It's funny. I keep adding to it. Like I've said 1,000 times, isolation is enemy number one for depression. Now I'm saying the same thing with that as far as grief, and maybe not just with willpower, but how can we generalize that a little bit more? Isolation is so bad when it comes to goals, goal setting, behavior, willpower, dieting, addiction. Right? There's something
Yeah,
there.
I think you're correct because I think we are evolutionarily uh, geared for social interaction. We can't just do it alone. We have the oxytocin the love hormones that happen that reaffirms and builds bonding.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that sometimes we get it in our heads that we can just do this on our own. So
Yeah. Yeah, Victoria, she is back from her pilot toilet training, I guess. Um, we're
I
just
love
talking
your
about
rugby
the
shirt.
introduction of the idea of willpower, and I
Yeah.
want to just get your overview of it. Interestingly, not being a substance abuse counselor, I was just asking John if it's kind of in the substance abuse world mostly, and he kind of quickly said no. What say you in the general sense of your understanding on willpower? Now you're muted. All right, we'll come back to you. Neil, help her out. She's a case that needs help. She's muted, I guess. So the
Again,
definition really
immutable.
is what's that? She's unmutable in John's world. Yes. The definition here, as we like to do on the show, to get a clear grounding on what it is that we're doing. Self control, the ability to delay gratification, resist impulses, and pursue long term goals. Like John or Victoria, are you able to talk? You're still muted. There's a lot wrapped up into that, John.
Hmm. Yeah.
Delay gratification, resist impulses, and pursue long-term goals. Like, There's a lot there.
I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think that's that in a nutshell. And so that's a wonderful definition. I don't know. I think it's sufficient. Maybe you could add more to it, but um, I mean, you can take it point by point if that's how you like to go about that. I was thinking one of the things that I was thinking about that we've taught is the marshmallow test. Are you familiar with that?
Oh, I'm very familiar, and I know Victoria is as
Yeah.
well.
I know
Go
because
ahead and tell them what
she's
the
a kiddo
marshmallow.
thing. Yeah.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I'd let her, maybe she could do it because she probably has more of experience with that. But they took a scientist, a researcher, a psychologist, I believe, but took some children, and this was done, I'll guess, 50 years ago, maybe. I
Oh, it was
don't
a
know.
long
It
time
was a
ago. It's
long time ago. Yeah,
basically a staple of research
yeah,
in the psychology field.
r-
Yeah, very
right.
early on.
And there were two types of kids, and one of which was that you could say you could have this treat if you delay the gratification, if you delay just getting that treat, delay using it or whatever. And I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, can I add to it? Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
What they did is they took these kids and they set them on a table by themselves.
yeah,
I mean, their parents probably were in the room for a moment, and they set a marshmallow down on the table,
uh-huh, yeah,
and the parents would be there, and the researcher gave the direction to the kid very clearly. Look, you have this marshmallow. It is your marshmallow. You can eat the marshmallow. But what we want to ask you to do is to wait before you eat the
uh-huh,
marshmallow. And if you wait, then you will get 2 marshmallows, right?
yeah,
Right? Does that bring it
yeah,
back for you? And
yeah,
so then the researcher and the parents would leave the room, the kids all by themselves,
yeah,
and they're sitting there with a marshmallow right in front of them, and they're like, "Oh, I could eat the marshmallow, or oh my," they said, "I'll get more marshmallows if I wait." But uh, 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 do you remember what ultimately the findings were?
no, I don't quite remember that, but
I don't remember the
it,
statistics and such of it, but you're right to bring this classic psychological research into the conversation because they
but
found that little kids didn't have very good willpower. They would eat the
that's exactly
marshmallow.
right. But that's, I
Yeah.
mean, so tell us something new. But
Well,
there were some kids that were able to do it. And so
correct.
it could be tied into natural development and neural development of somebody. So it wasn't a moral thing as much as it was when that person would develop. And
Exactly.
so, yeah.
And I don't know it further. I wish Victoria had her mics and stuff. She might know, but I'm not sure. I feel like they added elements to that equation
Mhm,
and showed ways to increase the level of compliance in waiting,
mhm,
in
mhm.
developing that ability to hold back, to delay that gratification. But I do not remember that correctly.
So maybe you're right because maybe that
Yeah,
would also argue that is something that people should develop naturally, but
right.
at the same time, you could actually engender a better compliance with it or success at an earlier age if you have strategies.
Shoot, at our age, John, if
Mhm.
you have
Yeah.
strategies, because part of what we need to realize in this conversation is there is ways, and we're going to talk about these ways to really increase your
Mhm.
ability to use willpower. Victoria, do we
Mhm.
got your mic yet, my dear? Are you serious? Oh wait, there
There
you
she
go.
is. She did the Cindy Lochner
Say a
thing.
sentence, my dear. Do we got you?
I heard you.
I heard a sound. I know. Now she's not responding. What are you doing,
Maybe she can't see us. Okay. There
Victoria?
you
Are
are.
you? What are you doing? Are you hearing me?
We just give her a marshmallow.
I tell you, John, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with her. She needs to eat the extra marshmallow. All right, we're gonna leave it go. I don't know. She's gonna figure it out. I guess Neil's behind the scenes, hopefully trying to help the girl.
Yeah,
All right, so there's a lot of science behind this willpower thing, right?
yeah.
Seen as an infinite resource is the way we kind of look at this. But John, you know as well as I do that it isn't an infinite resource. It is honestly actually very limited. Uh, in there's a guy I didn't know this guy. Have you ever heard of the ego depletion model?
Years ago,
Years ago?
again, 30,
Okay,
30, you know, what
I
is
got
it?
very
30
little
years
about
ago?
this. There's a guy evidently.
Starts with a
Oh,
B, bomb. What is his name?
what's his name?
Um,
Roy
Baumeister.
Baumeister. Yeah, yeah.
Baumeister.
In the
Yeah.
1990s, he did some work with this, and he really suggested in research that your ability to delay gratification, your ability to exercise self control, to resist impulses and such, actually has a degradation effect. So it isn't infinite, it gets depleted. You get, as you use this more and more and more, you get worn out. Okay. So it isn't just like, hey, you got willpower, exercise your self control endlessly. Like that's not really a realistic reality.
Okay, could it also be like compassion fatigue? And that is that if you're
Hmm.
going it alone, you will deplete that.
I
And
think so.
again, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
again,
think
I
so.
think yeah, I think naturally, I think if you're fed by others, now I'm kind of a big community kind of guy. And if you're fed by others, you're going to have more success with your willpower or even when it's very stressful.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you do get worn out with this. I mean, let's think about for a minute what's happening with willpower. You have two different parts of your brain. John, I know this, so hopefully the listening public is going to hear something new here, right? Your frontal cortex, we know, has abstract reasoning, thinking, pulling fact A, fact B, fact C, fact D into your thinking process, and you reason through what it is, the behavior that I want to do. But your emotion center, I'm doing my hand brain on the
yeah,
YouTube. Your emotion center is my thumb right here in the stem of your
yeah,
brain comes up.
yeah.
And that's your fight or flight, your emotion system, the hypothalamus, all of that stuff, all your good oxytocin, John.
Amygdala. I love
Yeah,
that
the
word, amygdala. So,
amygdala. Good old
If you
friend
can
Amiggy.
hear, can you hear me?
Hey, there
yeah,
she's back. So there's these two
Okay.
different pieces of the brain that engage, right? And you're literally on animal impulse in the amygdala.
uh-huh.
There's not a lot of impulse control there.
Fight or flight. Yeah,
Fight, fight.
fry,
You want
freeze. Yeah,
treats. You want the marshmallow. If you put anybody on that marshmallow table and told anybody, look, don't eat the marshmallow, you'll get two, right? That
mhm,
I don't think 57-year-olds are going to be very good at that. If you're only operating out of your pleasure center, your dopamine receptors, your
uh-huh.
the biological. It's the
Oh,
neurological process in the frontal cortex that helps us think, wait a minute, if I have this 1,000 pieces of Halloween candy that Victoria has in the office, I'm going to have a problem. That's a real reality and a shot across the bow, Victoria, right?
okay. Well, and actually today it's funny that you bring this up. Is that I learned that someone adds an extra thing to its flight, fight, freeze, or
Freeze.
fawn.
Oh, I don't know about fawn. Yeah? What's that
I
mean?
don't know about
Yeah.
fun.
So okay, obviously flight and fight are like
Right,
what you've already covered. Freeze is where like you freeze, right?
right.
Deer in
And
headlights.
you don't move at all. And then fawn is like almost like fawning over, like wanting people's approval, like trying to fix it like that way.
Where
I had
where'd
it.
this come
Well,
from?
I had a
What are we
client.
talking about here?
I had a client tell me that she heard about it in the book "Why Are You Mad?"
Uh-huh.
or "Are You Mad at Me?" or something like that. I can't remember the name of the book. And that they like
Uh,
mention it in there. So I don't know how like. I
yeah,
mean, I'm saying this. I
I
don't
gotta
know
call
how like
bullshit on this a little
research,
bit.
but
No shenanigans.
Shenanigans. Sorry, I used a bad word for all of us.
That's-
people.
Hey, and it wasn't me.
Yeah, I got to call
Uh,
shenanigans on this a little bit. I'm not sure about that.
I mean, I'm also talking about it with literally no context, like this little part of our session today that it was like mentioned.
Yeah. Honestly, Victoria, what that sounds like to me is somebody that created a cool meme, added something cool to something that they read, something that they know. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of reliable research around the idea that your system anatomically is going to be in a fawn state. When you hit trauma, when you hit a shock, when you hit a big
Maybe,
bump,
yeah.
you're going to fight or flight
I
or
don't know.
freeze. But fawning, it relates more to interrelations. It goes more towards insecurities. It goes more toward. No, I don't know that that's autonomic process. That's almost instinctual.
Well, according to the research on the idea of
if
fawn,
you can hear me, I keep losing you.
Oh
Like, I
wow!
can't. Your sound keeps going in and out.
All right. Well, Neil's jumping in, and that never happens. So what's up, Neil?
so fawn is a response after unsuccessful fight, flight, or freeze attempt. It's usually primarily seen in abusive families, and it's over agreement, can be overly helpful. Basically, primary concern making someone else's happy. So it's not your initial fight, flight, or freeze. It is the response afterwards by overcompensating.
So it's survival.
Yeah.
So there is
Okay.
a fourth, and that's correct. It's just they're the one.
Okay.
WebMD.
Has this been well studied, or is this is there a lot of
bet no?
Yeah.
Willing to bet no.
All I heard is that Neil just backed up what I was saying.
With WebMD. I don't know, guys. We'll figure that out. Honestly, Victoria, that is completely new to me. Let's go on with
See, I
our
want to do a
conversation.
study on it. That
Yeah.
would
Something.
yeah.
I can see where there would be a reaction among a plethora of other kind of reactions to the trauma scene that you're in. But I want to move on for the purpose of our
the
conversation.
book, the Are You Mad at Me book, was written August 5th, 2025. So it's a new book. I mean, this is really, really new. So it's something.
I'm wondering if that's based on the Stockholm syndrome. You know, where you identify with your captors, because otherwise you're going to get killed. So
yeah, absolutely. And Neil's saying that this is brand new too, so it could be something you and I, John, and well, all three of us, to be honest with you. So we'll check into that. That's something new, and we're figuring this out together. But getting back to this depletion thing that Roy Baumeister was talking about, was interesting because we like to think of emotions as the muscle that we're using. When you overuse the idea of just fatiguing yourself by using willpower alone, as you say, on a diet or in the middle of trying to change behavior, you're going to get wore out. And this is why I suspect diets just don't tend to last very much. They don't tend to be very long lasting, John.
Well, who is going to help you with your cravings at 12 a.m. when you're eating a restricted diet of or calories of 1,000 calories on a crash diet? It's like, who's going to support you?
You better have an answer for that, because if you don't have that, I think people are going to the fridge, John.
That's right.
Or they're going to hit the pantry. Something.
Yeah, I've done that, and that was the way you did it. You go on crash diets, and the thing is it's really not good for you. Obviously, it's not good for your health. So
some other studies kind of show some other things about the dopamine in the reward-based system. You want to get your jacks up. You want to get your feel goods going. You want to kind of get into dopamine, good old dopamine, and that marshmallow is going to give you dopamine. So we're trying to kind of manage this type of thing. And so really, willpower is real. It's fragile. It's best supported. We're transitioning here. It's best supported. Highlight alert. It's best supported by habits. Getting into habits, new habits, new behavior, and then the environment that you're in is super important. And then the motivation that you have rather than just sheer effort, and that comes through other people. These are really important.
So I'm wondering, how long does it take to establish a good habit as opposed to a bad habit?
Yeah. I think
I
that's been
mean,
pretty
that's
studied. I mean, what do they say? 7 days to create a new habit, or 7 weeks, or 7 months, or I don't know.
I think
It's
it's
30
6 weeks,
days.
30
30
days.
days.
I thought it was like 30 days to create a habit, 90 days to make it a lifestyle.
Oh, yes, those are the expressions. You're on. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
right. And
a
later on we'll
lifetime.
switch a little bit to addiction, and they say that. What's that, John?
That's a lifetime.
Yeah, it is. But later on we'll switch to addiction, and really kind of talk about 90 meetings in 90 days, and
Well,
there's something
you
about
think about
90 days.
you get the chip, and if you do the 12 steps. But so I guess my question then is, how does temptation play and factor in that? I know we've kind of moved a little bit on that, but with willpower, what happens?
Well, what do you think, guys? I mean, my view is that's the marshmallow all over again. The temptation is we'll call it the devil's work, man. I mean, it's tempting, and
Temptation eyes. Okay.
you get pulled off track, man. I mean,
Yeah.
if the temptation is good enough, if the
Uh-huh.
temptation is strong enough, you get pulled off track. And guys, we understand this in a very powerful way in our therapy offices. We have people that have had affairs with people that they work with, and they
Uh-huh.
don't know what happened. They
Uh-huh.
don't even realize what what were you looking for? They have no answers. What were you after? They have no answers. Why did this happen? It's like temptations with
Yeah.
a depleted system. You're going to go for the
I've
dopamine.
worked in offices in academia where people would talk about, this is my work husband or my work wife, and I think that's very dangerous.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure.
because you use that commitment term of husband or wife or spouse or whatever, and you just find yourself drawn into that temptation. And so,
Easy.
yeah, you very easily fall into that, and you say, "What the heck happened?" I think they've done some studies with they being communities like the Alban Institute, which works with churches, and Lilly Foundation, of why ministers, pastors, priests end up having affairs with their congregants, somebody in their congregation, or the joke, which would be the choir master, choir mistress,
Oh boy.
yeah. And it's because you work so intimately with them, and you find yourself, and one of the keys is the minister says when they're caught and revealed, "I don't know how this happened."
Yeah, isn't that like the same thing as, like a boss having an affair with their secretary or like their assistant, because they like literally they stay late at work together and work on projects, and they do this and they do that, and like they spend so much time together. They spend more time with them than they do their own spouses.
I think it's more than just the power differential that I think feminism talks about. Well, this person has
Right.
power and doing that.
Yeah.
It's more than that. It's the relationship that goes anyway. I mean,
Well, and
it
also
can
like
be
when
power, but yeah.
yeah, and when you don't have like boundaries and things
Uh-huh.
set in place that you stick to, then
Uh-huh.
yeah, those things are more likely to happen.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think to your point, John, I side with that a little bit too. I mean, I think when you get into the power dynamic, hey, good reference to last week's show, informal and formal power. Didn't we do that recently? Yeah. I mean,
Well,
there's
it was cogitating in my brain.
conjugating in there. I love that word too. Listen, that can get more into abusive kind of circumstances, and more dangerous in the way of being taken advantage of, and doing harm. We're kind of talking about this more in the realm of day-to-day life, like your experience with your behavior and how willpower has to deal with that. And in that
Great.
sense, I don't know that it has much to do with power at all.
Uh-huh.
it's almost a different domain. But there are real limitations. I feel like we're being real negative on willpower. Well, I want to bounce back and cite some more limitations, but willpower's not bad, right?
No.
No.
There's nothing wrong with discipline. I think
Right.
discipline might be a better word, you know?
Yeah,
But,
well, probably so than willpower.
yeah.
Self-control, discipline. I mean, those are what do we say? Synonyms, right? Like those are the same thing.
Uh-huh.
Can you be disciplined? Well, that's great. Can you be in control of your decisions? Exercise control over what you can control? Yes.
Yes.
Can you have willpower? Like, I think we get down on the word. I don't know why.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's a reaction to the kind of willpower that I was exposed to in my youth and
What do you mean?
growing. Well, it was connected a lot of time with moral failure or success, and somehow you were morally superior if you displayed a great deal of willpower and you were able to sustain it over a long period of time. And so you would be some sort of a failure if you didn't have that that same level of discipline, self-discipline, or willpower. Do you follow what I'm saying, Chris?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a lot of, it's a wonderful thing to be able to manage ourselves, but there's a lot of risks in relying only on that, which is what again I want to highlight. Like, when we're talking about trying to create new behavior, what did you say, Victoria? 30 days. What's the expression again? I just don't have it in my head.
30 days to make it a habit, 90 days to make it a lifestyle.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of barriers in that whole process. 15 days in, how you doing? 27 days in, how you hitting it? 97 days, have you gotten through to the other side where it's a lifestyle now? There's a lot of barriers to that. But I wanted to take a minute and celebrate, like, there's strengths to this. It helps with emotion regulation. It helps with having resiliency and resisting avoidance. I mean, you have to be very purposeful about the things that you're doing to be well emotionally. And if you're not purposeful, they don't just
intentional.
happen.
So it's always intentional. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. Go with that. Like, highlight that, because I think that's important.
Yeah, I think that's it's mindfulness, but it also has a forward goal, a long-lasting goal. But you are present in the moment, and you reinforce this. You take it one step at a time, and say, okay, and you display that self-discipline, and then you do it. You do it again, and then you do it again, and you be gracious to yourself. If you, let's say, some people when they're dieting, will just kind of just go and collapse, and they won't get back up because they'll say, well, what's the use? And so there has to be a part of having grace with doing willpower, and displaying that self-discipline. It also is not to have the negative cognitions or thoughts that would say I'm a failure or something like that, and you say, but you reframe it. I'm using all this jargon, and that is, you put it in perspective, and then you're saying, okay, a lot of other people have also have had a slip, or they've had a struggle with this. And so you get a sense, even if you're alone doing this, you get a sense of strength, and because you have a bunch of other people that you have imagined have gone through the same thing that you have. Am I making sense?
You're making a lot of sense. Victoria, if he pulls a lot of that stuff out of himself again for the shrink wrap up, we're doomed. We got no shot.
Man, I'm not going to do it again.
We got no shot, John. Well said.
I already have a disadvantage because I've been in and out of this entire thing.
Yes, we're aware. How you doing? You checking in okay, Victoria?
Yeah, I'm good. As long as y'all can still hear me, I can still hear you.
cutting there. I just I don't have.
Oh,
doing
I'm
impulse
fidgeting.
control.
I'm
Fidgeting.
fidgeting.
Okay.
ADHD is a real thing.
Yeah.
I only say that because she says that very publicly. Listen, there are
Yes,
things like,
yes.
as you were saying, John, talking there, I was really thinking about, man, do you know what really, really clips into what you were talking about? Is when we deal with what we deal with in our therapy rooms, right? Mental health diagnosing.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Oh,
think about that, man. When you're talking about trying to have willpower, and then you got things like depression or anxiety, clinical depression, that has real symptoms. We just mentioned ADHD. We talk about people with very poor impulse control. Victoria, I hope you can speak to this insofar as with ADHD. That's not poor impulse control. It's like you have so much going on a clinical level with ADHD or depression and anxiety and stuff. But
yeah.
does that mean you have low impulse control? That's the expression? Low willpower? Or does that mean
Again,
it's strained
putting
so
value
much?
judgments on that. Putting value
Yeah.
judgments on that.
It means that my brain works way faster than my mouth and the rest of my body. And so I have 10,000. It's like I have 10,000 tabs open in my brain at one time.
You have
like
a Maserati engine with a Volkswagen stick shift.
Yeah, I
So
think
what I'm
someone. Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
Go ahead, Victoria.
Transmission.
No, I was just gonna say, my friends have always said that like if I was a dog, I'd be like a Jack Russell Terrier mix with something. I can't remember what the other thing is because I would just be like,
Do you
going
jump
all the
upside
time.
down? Can you do backflips?
No, but I'm sure I could try.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, like this is the thing, like, and I hate that there's a result of this for people, and the result of this struggle with willpower because of clinical conditions is self-blame and shame,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's the result of this when you're trying to do something good that you want to have for yourself, and you quote unquote interpret air quotes. Listening to this on the audio version, I want you to know I'm beginning to air quote this. The failure, because it's not a failure, that's an air quote, of your behavior change because you're so depleted. Like
so your serotonin levels also depleted.
literally
And
biologically
so you're
also.
going to be more, so you're going to be more susceptible to anxiety and depression, and it's a cycle.
It's a cycle, and they work battling, down to the pit,
Yeah.
If you get some self-control and some positive self-regard and good positive talk built up, that increases your willpower, and then the serotonin drops, and then some stressful life reality drops, or then if ADHD, some kid wants your attention and you can't focus, and it's like, you drop. Now your willpower drops, and your shame and blame and everything just builds on each other. It's a horrible trap.
Well, and that's the thing is like a lot of times, and I maybe have mentioned it here before. Like a lot of times people talk about like that there's a dark side to ADHD and like things like that, and I feel like that kind of like plays a part in it of like, yeah, I might seem like happy-go-lucky all the time, but there's also a lot other dark things that go on up here.
Right. I mean, and then that just destroys your willpower, destroys your
Yeah.
staying power.
Well, yeah, and it makes me second guess everything. It makes me self-doubt. It makes me not go with my gut instinct.
And then you know what we do? We slap this horrible label on it and call it poor impulse control. It's not really accurate, is it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's more like a side effect.
Well, it's overwhelm. It's what we're just talking about. What's his name was talking about that earlier, the doctor. It's the depletion. The depletion of your willpower is like happens because of real clinical issues. All right, we got to move on because I don't want to miss a little bit of talk about addiction with this. The therapeutic angle really, again, is building routines. We want systems of people helping us. That creates accountability. It builds you up with positivity, your environment around you. We don't want to just be grabbing our tail end, holding on for dear life, and just trying to muscle our way through it.
Yeah, like I have I feel like this kind of relates, is like I have a lot of clients, I like to do a check out at the end of every session. Like, how are we doing leaving the session?
Okay.
And sometimes I have people, even like today, I had some people, they like, oh, wait, not that part. What do you want to work on this week? That's what I mean. And like a lot of people say, like, I just want to survive. Like, I want to work on surviving this week. And I'm like, like, here and there, that's fine. If we're just having like a crazy week and we just need to get through this week. But like, if you're telling me like,
or if your
3,
car's
4
totaled and
weeks in
your
a
kid
row,
has to go to the hospital, I'm
yeah.
sorry,
But
talk
like,
over you. Apologize.
no, you're fine. But like, if that's your thing that you're working on with me for like 3, 4 weeks in a row, like, we have other things that we need to discuss.
Maybe transition to.
Yeah. So I feel like I feel like that kind of builds into the addiction.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
maybe that was
if we look at this in relationships, willpower, the idea of trying to improve something, there's a little bit of a myth that, what, if I just work harder at this, if I just try more, it'll be better, and it's like these myths that we have about your self-control and your, it really kind of creates all kinds of trouble. And we can equate the term love. If you're not trying enough and you're not exercising more willpower, John, then you clearly don't love me enough.
Oh, listen, I have clients that have just cry about this,
Yeah.
and I have one client on one extreme where the spouse says you've got to change, and I don't, and the person really doesn't say I need to change, for the one that's making the complaint, and so you just don't try hard enough. And then I have another one who is just the opposite and is actually really judgy on the other partner. And what a trap! What a trap! Because it's conflicted, entangled, enmeshed is another word, and then they talk past each other, and
Those initial therapy sessions of couples is amazing, isn't it, John? Until you get some of the changes put into place, it's just like, and then the frustration just grows,
yeah, because they have a homeostasis. It's just a very bad homeostasis, and so they have to change the dynamic of the relationship. So,
I have a concept of the. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
I
go
have
ahead.
a concept of the book, through a therapist's eyes, re-understanding your emotions and becoming your best self. That's the
Good.
book 1 on self. And I whittled it all down. I'm sure the audience's long-term listeners probably sick of hearing how I came to it, but I whittled them all down and put them into 4 categories I found out, and one of them was action points, right? Focus points, action points, value yourself, stop, reflect on emotions. Those are all 4, but action points are things that we want to actively do, points of action in a structured, managed way. Because if we just have bursts of willpower from time to time, how effective do you think we're going to be at choosing the action that we want to do and having any level of consistency with that action? It's not going to be very strong.
Yeah.
The depletion kicks in again.
I think it's very important to have compassion too, because I was thinking, what if a client is bipolar and is aware of their bipolarness? There's someone with bipolar, and so they have these tremendous urges that just go, or impulses. And
I don't think that you can really manage bipolar impulses, John. I mean, that is another example of a clinical condition that makes real impact. Probably more than any, if not addiction. Would you? That's an interesting puzzle, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I agree.
Which is worse, the impulse control problems with addiction or the impulse control problems with bipolar? I really am curious. What do both of you think?
Wow. My experience.
I feel like it depends on the day.
Wow, do you 50-50, huh?
It depends on the day.
Mhm. I had a question because there's so often substance abuse that the self-medicating that goes along with people that are bipolar,
Mhm.
um, that with bipolar, and it just makes it even worse than that. And I'm I worked with somebody a few years ago that was she had schizophrenia, and
Mm.
she was on medication. She was on a chemical straitjacket, and wicked smart. And so she was. You talk about willpower. She was able to manage because any other reason she should have been able not to have any control whatsoever in her life and be institutionalized. And she became a writer and an artist, illustrator,
Wow.
and wrote
Yeah.
a children's book. But she said, I hear voices still, even with my medication. I don't like what it's done to my body, the medication, but I take it in order to maintain. And I feel like and she used the term straitjacket. However, she said it's what really gets me at 2 a.m. in the morning when I hear the voices telling me to go out and hurt somebody.
Yeah.
And now this is important, and I'm not patting myself on the back.
All
And
right.
I
You could
probably
do
didn't
that.
do something that would be done now, but I said you can call me anytime
Hmm.
if you start hearing those voices, and we can talk about it. So I looked at it like AA, having a sponsor, and
Interesting.
yeah.
Did you
What do
do
you
that
think?
in a therapist role, or what was your role?
No, my role was a pastor.
Oh, okay, yeah, because the anytime
Mm.
thing creates some challenge.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's why I was a little confused there at first, but
No. I didn't do it as a therapist. I did it as pastor
and
before
it's
I was
interesting the
licensed.
different roles, right? Like, and how that sort of plays
I
out.
wouldn't
Like,
do it now as a therapist. I
you
wouldn't
would or
do it
would
now.
not.
Would not.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
and
would do. I'm a little more flexible than I think a lot of
yeah.
therapists
yeah.
because of my dual roles.
Yeah,
And
Chris thinks I'm weird because I give out my direct work cell number to my clients, but I always make sure to tell them, like, I am not a crisis line.
uh-huh.
Mm.
If you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I will not pick up.
Oh dear God,
I
yeah.
have not felt that when I was a pastor, I never felt I it was never abused by my
Yeah, I've only had
congregants.
one I've only had to
Yeah.
say it because I've only had one time
Uh-huh.
where someone tried to basically have a therapy session through text,
Uh-huh.
and I had to shut it
Oh,
down. So
well, you get
yeah,
misspellings with me if I did that by texting. I couldn't do
Yeah,
that.
I like a little insulation. I'm not gonna lie. I
I
definitely
don't
like a
blame
little
you, man. I
insulation.
think your boundaries are very important.
Yeah, we'll
But
call it boundaries. I'll
I mean,
call
I
it
just
insulation.
yeah.
So let's go on because of time. I want to get to this transition a little bit. Because I mentioned which is worse, right? Which one challenges our impulse control? Which one challenges our willpower? Addiction or bipolar. Notice, by the way, you two, I did not answer my own question, did I?
No,
yeah,
you
what's
didn't.
your answer?
No, I'm not. I can't give it. I'll give you the 50-50 like Victoria did. But if you look at primarily the issue of addiction, we said what differentiate between
Uh-huh.
bipolar, self-medicating, like you just mentioned, John, and
Uh-huh.
addiction primarily is that element of a loss of control. That goes directly to the heart of willpower. And this
Uh-huh.
is why in addiction circles, which by the way is probably why I haven't a little bit of a bias in my own brain about like it comes from the substance abuse field because I guess that's where I started. But I've heard over and over and over again, John, right? You you're not going to get sober using willpower. That does not help you to, build out a level of control, does it?
Yeah. Yeah. The best thing that ever happened to me was going through the Navy's program for addictions, and they would have in this case I was a chaplain, and did not have the same, I had to do some real soul searching and say, I had an unhealthy relationship with food, but in terms of some of the struggles that my sailors and Marines were having, it was different, but it really helped me get into the shoes of someone that was struggling with addictions, real active addictions. And I would suggest that people that are not dealing with with addictions, and if they want to treat people with addictions, would go through a similar type of program that would enable them to know what it's have that empathy and that connection. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be something.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we had to. I've mentioned it before that in grad school, like in our addictions class, we had to go sit. Now we only had to sit through one AA meeting, but we were required to and encouraged to not to go to more than one if we could, so we could get more of a feel of what it's actually like for someone. And I and my roommate just happened to go on, I think it was Hot Dog Friday. So we also got some free hot dogs at the AA meeting. And yeah, I mean, I think it definitely gives perspective, and especially as a therapist, then you can actually understand a little bit better what your clients are going through.
Sure.
Yeah. Here, first of all, that we have an addictions class in a college program, fantastic. I'm loving that.
Grad school.
Well, yeah, whatever, college.
Yeah. It's required for counselor students.
For LCMHC students, it's required. We have to take it in order to graduate.
Be curious how long ago that came in, but we're going to move on. Yeah, this is really a big time dopamine reward system overhaul. Y'all saw what I wrote in the show notes, right? Right. I mean, dopamine overpowers this, battle between your frontal cortex and your reasoning regulation of your behavior, and then your behavioral impulses completely in addiction. It's something that a non-addicted person just doesn't have the ability to recognize, John, right?
Right.
We've talked about it on the show before, the power of that hijacking of your thought process. It just doesn't matter. That's why you see this big all caps in the show notes, right? Blow this up. What do we want to blow up? This myth. Either one of you. Oh, you don't see it.
That if we had willpower, they'd stop?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how crazy is this thought?
It's the same thing with anything. If you really wanted to lose weight, you'd get in the gym and you'd work harder.
There's a lot of blaming that goes around.
So it's just the opposite of motivational interviewing, isn't it?
Say again, John? Yeah.
No.
It's just the opposite of motivational interviewing.
What do you mean, John?
Well, so if you just had enough willpower, you would stop. Whereas encouraging a person to make changes and saying that you're teaming up with that person to, let's say, as the therapist or the healthcare provider or the addiction specialist, you would be able to encourage them and give them the resources and support and help them see their options. And I guess give them choices. And that's very important. And it's encouraging, so that person gets agency.
Where do they get motivation from, though? Right?
Yeah.
Goals.
I mean, I'm not changing anything, John, but I'm just kind of popping that in there to really make the point. I've said before in our addiction shows, what works the best for most is 12-step programs. Why?
Oh, yeah.
What helps them with motivation?
Yeah.
Goals.
Well, you have to begin at the beginning. You have to say that you're powerless over this, and that you just admit your humanity, your common humanity with others, and this is something that you cannot you cannot do by yourself. You have to turn it over and
Right.
get that. And of course, in 12 steps, it's the higher power, whether that be a deity or something greater than yourself.
So what we're
But
saying, John, is in all of this, like, think about this. This isn't going into a diet, although it helps there too. This isn't changing a behavior of a child who's behaving poorly, although this helps there with too. This isn't any kind of behavior modification that you would want to do in willpower. All this, it helps that's there too. What I'm referring to is, again, what helps the most, what works best for most is this idea of giving up control and then allowing other people to support you, because unlike diet and weight and other behavior, addiction is like, again, the next level.
Mhm.
When I say it takes over a person's life, it literally kind of takes over the whole person.
You could be the most moral human being in the world, and you get it. You develop an addiction to drugs, alcohol, whatever you are. You will lie and cheat and steal.
And here's
And
why: because the ego depletion, the willpower depletion is so great, because
Mhm.
every single day after addiction progresses, and really multiple times through every single day, as you get into multiple stages of addiction, it gets worse and worse. You're fighting this. How do
Mhm.
you fight that all day, every day,
Mhm.
Victoria? You're not an addictions
Exhausting.
grounded person, but can you fight this every day, all day?
No, I
It's
wouldn't
it's
be able to, and I don't even
it's
have an I don't even have an addiction that I'm aware
right.
of.
That's what I'm
But
saying. Like, it's so brutal. And so,
yeah,
John, I was just thinking about that as you were talking. Like, yeah, what really helps us to have something that gets so depleted with addiction? And it's giving up control. It's using the
Mhm.
group. It's using other people, having action points. Some of the things we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Have you ever lost a loved one, family member to
Oh,
alcoholism?
oh yeah,
I have, and they,
it's terrible. As a
yeah,
matter of fact, you just hit me, John, with that. I don't want to, take over what you were saying there, but I literally just found out today. If you're listening out there, man, my heart's out to you. She can identify herself, because I just had a mom that lost a stepson to addiction. Just
Mhm.
found out today. Another
Mhm.
one gets hit, man, and I have full suspicion that, I don't know for a fact, but it might have been fentanyl. John, it sucks, man. It's
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah. That's in fact, we also had somebody lose their son
Yeah,
as well. I had a client that that did this with fentanyl as well. It was just heartbreaking. But there's that sense that, having seen it right up close, you could see that that person, in my own family, and it's an extended family. It's not in my immediate family or siblings, but it was that person would absolutely um, them sell everything or steal in order to get that fix,
yeah.
and they live for that moment.
It's
And
it's in the moment.
so all the goals are gone. It's
Yeah.
the march. They cannot eat that marshmallow. They cannot refrain from eating that marshmallow. They gotta eat it now.
It's even worse with addiction,
Yeah,
you know.
even worse. Yeah.
So taxing in a little bit here, what are we trying to get at, when we're looking at willpower? Let's break
Uh-huh.
it down for mental health and then addiction. You know, I hope we've made the point loud and clear about developing habits. What is the expression again, Victoria?
30 days to make it a habit and 90 days to make it a lifestyle.
Right. Whether that's a science fact or not, it's an expression that we have all heard, and we're after really building that up, and gradually with goals. Victoria, you mentioned goals before. We didn't talk a lot about that, but you
Right.
want to develop routines, habits.
I had a cool question, Chris. How
Okay.
many days was your son in boot camp at Great Lakes?
That is a really good question. I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I want to say that was a 2 or 3 month deal. I'm pretty sure boot camp's 3 months, isn't it? Which is what you're going for, I think, right?
Yeah. My boot camp was almost 3 months.
Say why do you ask? Say why you ask, or what
Well,
you
I
think.
asked that because there are connections. Obviously, Victoria was talking about the 90-day life change. Well,
Right.
what got me into doing exercise was kind of the discipline where I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning, dark 30, and run and march and make sure that my rack was absolutely pristine, and go through a gauntlet, and developed a military discipline. And I was a chaplain, you know.
Yeah. Oh, well, you were just a soldier. I mean, at that time, or a seaman.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is like, you look like there's something about 90 days. There's a level there, a threshold that we want to get to. You see it in AA, 90 meetings in 90 days. You see it in the military, John. I thought that's where you were going for. Like,
That's
basically
where I was
3
going
months.
for. Yeah, you
Right?
did.
It is science. Okay, we have somehow stumbled upon a detailed knowledge. And the military is, listen, a lot of our psychological knowledge comes from the military. Okay, if you haven't figured it out or realized that, like, they study this crap because they want to maximize their effectiveness on the battlefield. So you can really rely on what the military is doing, and if you get into the depths of why they're doing it, it is sound science by far. So you get to that threshold. But you don't get to that threshold, John, by just a little bit of pop of willpower for a day.
Yeah.
It just doesn't do it. So what happens?
Step by step. Insight.
What happened?
Each day you do something, you have a success, and you build on that success each day. And you might have, you might fall off. You might not be able to complete that march, that 6-mile run, but the next day you're going to be able to do that, and you're going to be able to. And each time you develop a new skill, and so the same with self-discipline and control,
increased resiliency,
and also you develop more competence or agency, and so you're able to say, okay, I can look back and I can see, I got a challenge before me. I don't know if I can do it, but I've been successful thus far because I've been doing this, and I've built on the prior successes and even failures. Yeah.
Mindfulness and pausing before impulses. I have a lifesaver technique that I kind of wanted to share. I don't have time. If you want to hear about how we use lifesavers to get through the impulse, particularly with anger and anger management, I've got a cool tool. A lot of us therapists have cool tools there. It's basically has some science behind. Suck on a lifesaver before you take an action, because that by the time you're done with the lifesaver, you've got some real biological things that are different. But anyway, then we want to use rest and compassion with self, and be good to yourselves in the self-talk. And then for addiction, we've talked a lot about recognizing the limits that willpower is going to do. It is really limited in the addictions world. And instead, the 12-step recovery programs, building a plan and having accountability with a community, and then dealing with the relapse, because that's not a part of willpower. It's a part of like the real struggle. So I throw those out here. Closing thoughts, comments, and stuff, and we need to get to the shrink wrap up. But John, you've got me terrified this week, man.
I don't remember what I said, so we just go ahead and take it. Okay, take what I said. Okay.
Oh, we're gonna use that, Neil. Do you remember what he said back then?
Neil, what did I say?
Rewind it all. No comments. Closing comments. What are you, John or Victoria, thinking to wrap us up before we get to the wrap up?
I'll go first because I won't probably win.
We're going to the wrap up now. Evidently, go.
Oh wait, I thought that's what that is our wrap up.
It is. If I was just, I just wanted to make. I just wanted to make sure that you didn't have any other thoughts.
No, that's about it. Just that like willpower can be positive and negative, or it can have its downsides, but it can be used as a good thing, and it's nothing to be afraid of. So that's all I got.
All right.
And this one here.
All right, I guess I'll go second. And I'm going to say, look, willpower is wonderful. Having self-control, having the discipline, having the capacity to make your choices and get into routines and set habits. These are all things that we're empowered for. We have to be really careful about mislabeling or misunderstanding how far willpower can get you. This is a cautionary tale, because you really build up shame and blame and doubt and hurt and fear and interpretation of failure, amongst other things, if you use this intent wrongly or dangerously. So willpower is great. Don't overuse it. Understand that you get wore down, and hopefully you've heard some things in how to build it up.
Okay. I'm going to say thank you, Chris, Victoria, and I'm going to say that in this journey of life that we're in, willpower is a tool. It's not the whole thing. It is a one factor in one's life, and I think it's important to realize that the reason why willpower works or maybe doesn't work is to reframe it and think in terms of more self-discipline. And then in this journey, you accrue allies that would be able to help you along this journey. And you can rely on each other's weaknesses or worries or problems, and you're not going it alone. And yet you're also developing for oneself the willpower that one needs to succeed.
Neil, honestly, brother, I think we're kind of getting better at this shrink wrap-up stuff, brother. Have fun. What you got?
I liked, Chris, that you talk about the willpower doesn't last forever. Willpower gets you started, but you have to have systems. But I think John's part where you talk about relying on other people too as you build it out, I think that's a key part, because if you go alone, your willpower is going to drain faster, right? If you're on a motor, you're hitting it full throttle, you're going to run out of gas a lot faster. But if you go steady, you kind of go through that pieces, it's going to last longer and it's going to be more successful. So people with you built a system. I think that's something to remember. Willpower is something that you can rely on others to help you keep moving forward, groups and communities and those things. So I might give it to John today.
John, you got it, brother. I'm proud of you. I told you I was nervous on this one, man.
Well, no.
Look, I'm not having any expectations because I was in and out.
I know. We're going to get this together. And we really here, I want to say to the listening audience, thank you for your patience with that. One, we're new on Riverside, this version. And two, we're really getting organized around Victoria and being at home and stuff. So we'll get better at managing it. Thank you for your patience with it. Closing thoughts. Let's get out of here.
Earlier when I said things bother me that I could smack someone, Lucas goes, Mommy, we don't do that.
That is a mic drop. Listen, stay well, be well.